Okay. Right. Just like I said, some few minutes ago, we'll be looking at Scrum metrics tonight and looking at so for us it will be to know the meaning. So if you look at the slide I'm sharing it, you have velocity and burn down chart because those are the two that we'll be focusing on tonight. There are other charts, but these are the ones that we'll be focusing on. And then we'll need to know what they mean, what do we use them for, the types that we have, the type of metrics that we have, the benefits. We'll look at some samples. Where are they located on our project board? How do we get them? And then we'll be generating them. So to generate them, it will be that session of generating the metrics will be more of workshop. So I wouldn't be sharing my screen generating them. I'll ask one person from the teams to share their screen. So if you are not on your laptop, if you're on your phone, it will be better to be on your laptop so that while you might be the one that would do the drive to show us that we will use in the workshop aspect of things to just see how we can generate or how we configure and generate the charts on your dashboard if that has not been done already. But we can just do another one so that everybody at least sees how it is done. That's okay. Okay, so we want to start off by knowing what the Scrum metrics means. We know metrics on a normal day simply is just a simple term that means measurement, what you use to get a measurement. So it could be a ruler. You can use a ruler to get specific measurement. You can use a tape rule. You can use a scale to get measurement. You can use the height thing to get a measurement. You can use for health reasons. They use, there's the scanning machine to get a specific measurement. You have the thermometer for the temperature to get a specific measurement and all that. So simply metrics just means a specific tool that you use to get a measurement for one reason or the other. So when it comes to Scrum metrics, we're looking at the specific measurements that is used within the Scrum frame, and it helps to assess the performance, the progress, and effectiveness of a Scrum team. That's what the Scrum metrics is used for. They are graphical representations, they're charts that can track the workflow process of a team over a defined time period. So depending on what you configure it to give you, it's what it will give you. And they are real-time measurements, okay, that are put there. So if you configure it for, like I said, a definite or defined timeline, it will give you the measurement for that timeline. They cannot be manipulated, if I can use that word, once they're on the board. So in a situation where a team, let's assume a team doesn't start or they didn't start their sprint on time. Let's assume you started your sprint 3 days after the um sprint date and you're tracking workflow or progress for that particular sprint. What you will have on your chart won't pick the 3 days that nothing was done. That is how real time it is. So you can't manipulate it to give you readings for those 3 days that nothing was done or that the sprint has not started. That is one of the good things about it. So it cannot be easily manipulated, especially the ones you have on your project board, the burn down, the velocity chart and all that, you can't easily manipulate them. So, and that gives you more of accuracy in what you're trying to measure. Okay, so what do we use them for? Why do we need them? What do we use them for? It visualize the project for us. So we look at every sprint as we're walking along. It gives us metrics. It gives us workflow and progress of how things are going. You can also use it to measure the amount of work that has been completed against time still available over a defined timeline. So you're looking at how the team is working. It gives you information about this is where the team is, this is the percentage of what has been completed. When we get to the components of the chart, I'll be able to explain that more. But it helps you to, you as a Scrum Master, you as a PM, you as an ADM, you're able to go on your chart, look at what is displaying, and that can help you to motivate your team. So you can, during the stand-up, maybe you still have 2 or 3 minutes left before the end. The Scrum Master can quickly show the charts to them to say, team, this is what we've done so far, this is what we have left, and this is the remaining days that we have, and all that. And that can motivate them, to work more. We don't want to pressurize them, but at the same time, we need to be objective and show them that this is where we are. And our goal is to be able to finish everything, that have a deliverable that we've committed to in the sprint. So you can use it to do that. You can also use it to measure what has been planned against, like I just said, what has been completed. So you're measuring, this is what we've planned, this is what we've completed, and this is what is remaining, and everything. You're able to see that. And then that helps you also to forecast for future sprints, okay? Because while we're doing capacity planning, we're talking about having an average velocity. We'll be able to see that during the course of this night. And that helps you to know that, when we're talking about when you have full capacity, you'll be able to work with your average velocity. And then when you don't have full capacity, you know that you have to reduce what you're taking. So the chart is what gives you that average velocity that you're able to use in measuring what goes in, what you're taking, and what you commit to and what you negotiate with the product owner. Okay, so it helps you to forecast future sprint. And then you're also able to look at the speed or the pace at which the team is working, and able to forecast that if this project is meant to end within 6 months and all that, are we working at that pace to be able to finish within that 6 months, or we're kind of slow and we need to meet during retro to look at why is our pace slow? Is there complexity? Is it because we're not getting requirement on time? It could be anything, but it helps you, to make decision also. And then, like I'm saying, identify area of improvement and put those improvements in place. Without the chart, you might not be able to see that. You might just feel that, okay, we're working, we're doing what we need to do. We're not maybe finishing or achieving our sprint goal because of one thing or the other. But the chart helps you to see at times where you might have bottlenecks, and you might be able to think, oh, within those 2 or 3 days when everything is flat, what happened during that time? Know what happened. How do we improve so that such things doesn't happen in the next sprint, so that we're improving as we're going along, we're improving our progress as we're going along, and then we're increasing our pace also as we're going along, so that you have a sustainable pace as you work as a team. It's able to help you identify those areas of improvement. It helps the team also to understand their productivity, the quality, and then ability to deliver value to the stakeholders. So again, if you're looking at a situation where, like I said, using the example of when in a chart you have flat, I'll show you when we get there, where you have a flat uh uh, bar on your, especially your burn down, where it's not burning down, things are not increasing, but it's not just burning down, and you know why that is happening. It helps you to improve your quality. So is it because in your team, when you work in the workforce out there, you have different skill set in your team. So you might have 2 or 3 experienced developers or engineers in your team, and then you have maybe less experienced team members than experienced ones. So the less experienced one are relying more on the experienced one. And that might be why you're having that flat. So maybe they're waiting on the experienced one to help them review their code, before they can close it. And until your chat doesn't burn down until you close your story. We'll get to that also so that you know why it's not burning down and everything. A lot of people say, we're doing what we're doing, but it's not burning down. If you do not update the status of your story, it doesn't get burned down. So you'll have your work items burning down when it gets to the closed column. So in a situation where the reviews you're waiting on, you want somebody to help you to review your code and all that before you move it on. The keywords didn't get the stories on time, and so they're closing it late. All those things are the things that your chat will tell you. All those things are the things you want to work on. You don't want the keywords to work under pressure, whereby two days or a day to the end of sprint is when they're rushing to do the testing. You've not given them enough time, to work on to test the features or the functionality that has been done. The Scrum Master is asking keywords what's going on and everything. They rush through and all that. They don't look at things properly. It will affect your productivity. It will affect the quality. And you don't want to release such out, and then the end users, your clients now starts noticing defect. Those are situations where your bugs seep into production. You don't want that situation to happen. So those are the things that your chat would show you. And you need to just sit as a team, look at it, and then improve. So as a Scrum Master, apart from putting your chat in your reports and all that, once in a while during your sprint, during your retrospective also, especially where you notice area of improvement. So you want to bring that chart up during the retro, maybe at the beginning, just take few minutes, roughly five, shouldn't be more than five, to explain that this is what the chart is saying. This is the reading of the chart. Coach your team to understand the reading of the chart. They might not understand. You have to coach them to understand that when you have a chart like this and all that, this is what the chart is telling you. So for you to be able to explain what the chart is saying to your team, you have to have an understanding of what you're getting, what that chart is telling you. You will see the area of improvement and all that, and then you'll be able to use that to kind of maybe at the start, preferably not at the end of your retro, at the start, so that most of the improvements you want to discuss during that retro, you can sum, not all of it, especially if you've noticed it. And then you're not telling them, oh, this is what the chart is saying. And as a result, that is what you're going to discuss at retro. Yeah, you're not saying that. You're just highlighting what is on the chart. It's left for them. Definitely, it will provoke some discussions that would go into the retro. You might now have more postings, comments, postings on your retro board to discuss some of the things. It might not be all the time, but you've put it out there. And like we say, you are not their manager. You're just a Scrum process person supporting them and guiding them through. And that is what you do. Part of what you do when you explain and you coach them what the metrics are saying. Okay, so it helps your team's productivity, quality, and the ability to deliver value to the stakeholders. And then the last point already I'd explained that it helps you to gain insight and make data-driven decisions. You want to make a decision when you've shown it to them, they can see, they gain insight. Oh, okay, so this is what happened, this is what the chart is saying and everything and all that, and they want to put improvements in place and make some decisions going forward on how to improve on whatever the chart is showing or telling the team. Okay, so we just quickly also, I just want to touch on what metrics are not. Okay, so most times a lot of people feel that a lot of team members feel agitated when you bring up metrics because they think you're using metrics to kind of assess their performance. Yes, we use it to assess performance, but not in the way they think. They think you're being judgmental. They want to know who are you sharing that metrics with. So as a Scrum Master, you have to be careful, especially when you talk about metrics and all that. Let your team know that this is an in team thing that is not going to go anywhere. So you're not sharing it with HR, you're not sharing it with the stakeholders, you're not sharing it with anyone that would, especially the burn down charts. With the velocity charts, you can share why stakeholders at times, not all the time, might need to know about your velocity chart is because you want to use the average velocity. So they come with, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, we want this, we want that. So if your PO wants to use the velocity chart, it's just so to be able to tell the stakeholder that this is the team's average velocity. They can't work more than their average velocity. So the PO or the Scrum Master, you're using that to negotiate with the stakeholders. Now, the stakeholders don't have a right to come back to say, oh, last week they're on 98. Can't they be at 100 now? They're not machines. Even machine, if it hurts, it's out. If it hurts this capacity, there's nothing you can do to increase it. Remember when we used the jug and all that to say if a 1 liter bottle can only take 1 liter, it can't take 2 liters of water. So no matter how much they feel, 1 month ago or 2 months ago, their capacity was 90. But why is it not 100 now and everything? It can't. And that's what you're using that metric to talk to the stakeholders about. So most teams feel, or if this goes out, they're going to judge us, they're going to feel we're not doing enough, they're going to want to give us more and everything. And if you're not careful, what you get out of that, especially if you have a metrics that is measuring the story point of a team, your team members will start falsifying story points just so they feel they're doing a lot even when they are not, and you don't want that. So you need to, you're the person that shields the team. So you have to shield them and make them comfortable with metrics. Yeah. So it's not a tool for passing judgment. You need to let them know that, and it's not a tool for blame. And it's not the only tool also to measure a team's performance. There you have the team's deliverables there. Did we achieve the sprint goal? So if we achieve the sprint goal, so you might have achieved the sprint goal. Maybe there are other requirements that came during the sprint, and that was what was remaining and all that. But the sprint goal was actually achieved and all that. That measures our performance. You have the teamwork also there. Your team needs to communicate, they need to collaborate. That is key. And once they're communicating and collaborating effectively, even your chat will show it because, things will improve on the chat when they are not working in silo, when they are not working individually. When one person is suffering individually but they don't want to share it, they don't want to be open to tell others that, oh, I don't know that understand this, can somebody put me through what I need to do, my skill set is not that there and everything and all that. Once they're having that issue, once they can't come to the stand up, to open up to say, I'm struggling with this, I've tried, and then have another team member saying, oh, let's look at it together afterwards. Let's jump on another call, or maybe after this call, if it's okay with you, I'll give you a call after this call, and then we can look at things together. That is communication, that is collaboration, that is teamwork, and that has to come in. And that helps improve the process for the team, the progress, and also their performance as a team. We're not talking about individuals now, we're talking about a team. And a teamwork, when we all work together, is what we call a team. So the teamwork also measures a team's performance, not just the metrics. And then you're looking at the team's effectiveness. So when we have a good teamwork, it affects our effectiveness. And what our effectiveness brings to the table is early time to the market. So we're delivering the features, we're delivering the incremental value at the end of every sprint is getting to the end users. And you're getting customer feedback. Customer is satisfied, or they give feedback that, okay, some updates need to be done. You're doing the updates, the feedback that are coming, the changes they want, we're getting to it as fast as possible and returning it back to them to say, oh, we've done it. And what that brings for either the business or your client is return on investment. So they get a return on their investment on time. Somebody has put 100,000 down for this to start, and they said, okay, I want you to deliver it on time. By the time maybe they want to deliver it in a year's time, they get the minimum viable product out there to the customers on time. They start using it while the other upgrade is going on, if that's the way they want to work. So there's a return on their investment on time, and that capital they can redeploy it, into either that same product to make it better or into another product. They're able to start using their capital once it starts coming in. That is team effectiveness, also, which you can use to measure the performance of a team, not just the metrics alone. Yeah, and also you have the team's growth and improvement. This is what we sit down as a team at the end of maybe every sprint to look at, what are we satisfied with what we've done? The feedback we're getting, is it bringing us satisfaction? And then performance level, also improving our performance level. This is what we've received. This was the feedback we got, and all that. How best can we, do things in order to improve the way we're working and in order to put things better out there. An example could be like there's a review during at the end of the sprint, there's a review, and the product owner, all the stakeholder is saying, oh, but that wasn't what I said in my requirement. This and this is what I said. You're coming back to the table and the retro to say, okay, where did we miss it? Where did that gap coming? So it could be that we need more clarity in the requirement. Is it that the BAs didn't get the clear requirement of what the client wants, or is it that the team didn't get the clarity from the BA of what they need to build, and we built what we were not supposed to be? So you sit down during the retro to sort all that out and everything. So that was why I said it's not just because the metrics won't tell you that aspect of things. So it's not measuring performance in that aspect of things. That comes in from customer feedback. That comes in from you sitting as a team to measure what we do. But specifically what your metrics does is to track your progress and track your process also, and help you to make sure that at least you are working in alignment with that, and that helps definitely what you produce and what comes out, that quality that comes out from what you produce, from your deliverables. Okay, so we have different types of metrics in Scrum. We have the burn down chart, we have the burn up chart, there is the velocity chart, the cumulative flow diagram, mostly used for Kanban. You can use it in Scrum also, but it's more effective with Kanban. You have the capacity chart, you have the work item chart, you have the sprint overview chart, you have the code chart, which can be used by developers or testers. You have the pipeline chart, again, developers and testers, more like you have the test plan chart also. There's a test progress report also, which you can generate, that can help the testers to know if they are running enough tests during the sprint. And these are charts that you can also put on the report so that you're measuring what they are doing. Also, the bug burn down is there also, but what the bug burn down just shows us is this is the number of bugs that were raised, and this is the number of bugs that were fixed during the sprint, how many were fixed, how many were remaining. But if you want to look at the test progress also of the testers themselves, there's a way the line manager can check that on the project board, and even you also can check that in order to help them to be accountable. Okay. But like I said, we're just going to look at the burn down chart and the velocity chart. Okay, so with the burn down chart, what is a burn down chart? Okay, is a visual representation that shows work progress of a team in a sprint. Okay, so we configure it to show us the progress, the work progress of a team in a sprint, and it displays what has been completed and what is remaining within a timeline. Okay, so we'll go to a proper chart, but what you have on the left of the slide is roughly what we're trying to talk about. So the white line you can see is just burning down. You can see it going down, going down. It's the bars are the amount of work that were in the sprint, and then when they keep reducing, shows that they're burning down. Okay, so it's like, you have a heap of thing, and then it starts going down, going down. That shows that it's burning down. And then what do we really use it to do? What do we use abundant chart to do? So we use it to track actual work that has been completed. So you're looking at what has been completed. How many days do we have left? What is still remaining for us to work? So it tracks what has been completed. It tracks the actual work that is remaining. Okay. And then it helps the team to know whether they can achieve the sprint goal within the timeline. So you're looking at 2 days to the end of sprint. We still have maybe 35 work items, to complete and all that. And the good thing about the Azure DevOps card is it gives you a projected timeline. So it looks at the pace at which the team has been working, looks at what is remaining, and then it projects the days that you can complete that. So at times you're 2 days to finish and it's projecting 19 days more to complete work that needs to be done because it has calculated the pace at which it notices work is burning down, and it has used that to project the date. And like I said, you can use that to motivate your team because all you have to do is to show it to them and everything. And the projected one is always written in red so they can see it out there, that this is it. But in showing that to them is not to make them feel dejected that, oh, if the chart is saying 19 days, then that means it's not possible for us to finish. It's meant to motivate them to try, and even if they can't finish everything, take a lot, as much as possible, over the line so that you have just a bit of thing. And most times don't even show them at the end of the sprint. Try and be strategic with it. When you're in the mid sprint, you want to show them that you want to have a mid sprint overview to say, okay, what have we taken across the line? Let's have a status overview, kind of. This is our goal. What are we working on? Are we really working on the goals, or have we brought other things into the sprint that we're working on, that we're focusing on, rather than the goals that we're meant to work on? So these are the things you would normally monitor to ensure that your team is staying focused and staying on track of the things that they've committed to. In situations where you notice they're not doing what they need to do, is either you ask them that at stand up, or you do one. It's good to even ask at stand up because then you carry everybody along rather than doing one-on-one behind and asking somebody and all that. And it could be that, oh, the PO wants me to quickly work on this and everything, and then you can reach out to the PO to say, we have a committed work that needs to be done. If this is priority and all that, negotiate dropping what is low priority in order to accommodate that new that is coming, if it takes priority over what needs to be done. So your negotiation skills needs to come there. But at times the chart helps you to see that, because you might be looking at the board and not know that anything has increased. Yeah, with nobody expects you to be that perfect that the number of story. Okay, so for the internship, you might know the number of stories because we have 6 stories and all that. But when you work in the workforce out there, where you are having 26 stories on the board and all that, at times, you might not know what has sipped in. At times when you have 26 stories on the board and you have something like 89 or 90 or 100 tasks, I know that you can't keep track of everything, but the chart will help you to know when something has something has come into the sprint, because the bar would shoot up, and you'll be able to know that, okay, somebody has added something, to the sprint, and you're able to talk about that during the stand up and everything. You find it out yourself, and then being able to talk about it. Then what that helps your team to know is that you're on top of things. You're not slacking and all that. They can't just bring anything into the sprint and all that without you noticing or knowing about it. And then it's something that you want to also discuss during the retro, to say that, how do we manage stories that are coming in? What if anybody reaches out to your team member to say, work on this and everything and all that, do you want them to say it during the stand-up as part of the update, that, oh, somebody wants me to work on this and everything and all that? And then the team will make a decision during the stand-up there. So those are part of the improvements that you can bring in, us just so because you're monitoring the chat and you can see what it's saying. Okay, so those are the use of your burn down chart. Okay, so we want to look at the benefits. What do we benefit out of the burn down chart? It's very easy to read. Once you know how to read it, it gives you a lot of information, like I said, and you're able to say that. You're also, like I said, you're able to motivate your team members to focus and perform. It's more about focusing so they can get distracted, like bringing other things that we've not committed into the sprint in. It's so easy to do that, rather than focusing on what needs to be done. So you can use the chat to motivate them to get to stay focused and to perform, to work, and then to also maintain effective collaboration amongst the team members. Those are the benefits you get. All those discussions during the stand-up regarding who brought what in, or I'm struggling with this, that's why I've not moved it on, and everything. Somebody jumping in to say, I can help you to do this and that and all that. That collaboration stays in. You're able to, the team is able to maintain that and then improve on it if needs be going forward. And then, like I said, it helps them to know whether they can achieve what has been committed to the sprint within the timeline. Okay, so let's look at the components of a burn down chart, which is on the chart. Okay, so you can see here, sorry, I'm just going to be using my cursor so that you understand the one I'm explaining. So this is a release burn down chart, and then you can see the name there. It tells you. So that doesn't mean a release burn down chart is the only thing you can create. The ones that are for the sprint, I will bring that up for you. But this is for a release burn down chart, and then you can see up there, it's telling you the kind of chart it is, so that anybody looking at it will know if it is a sprint 1 chart or sprint 2 chart, and then it gives you the date duration. So all these, once you configure your chart, it displays all this afterwards. So you can see the date is there. So that's the date range. That's the title of the chart. And then it gives you average burn down. So the average burn down is calculated by the project board itself, by this widget, okay, itself. And what it's looking at is averagely, how is the team burning down? How is work moving? That is what this is calculating. When it is in the positive, like this is, it means the team is burning down, well, the way they should. If it is in the negative, there's always some that has minus in front of them. That means they're not burning down enough. They're not, the pace is slow, or the pace is not moving at all. Okay, so that helps you to see that. And then you have items not itemized. So if there are any user stories on the board that has not been itemized with story points, because this is tracking story points, as you can see here. So this chart is tracking the story point. If it's tracking the user story, it will have just work items here. Okay, so it's showing here that 6 of the work items are not itemized with story point. It's giving that information. So as a Scrum Master, you can go on the boards to check those 6 stories, know who is working on them, and being able to reach out to them to say, okay, use story point. It could be stories that were brought in during the sprint. So you want the people working on it to have a look at it and story point it. So it won't be just the developer that is working on it, but the QA that are also going to test that story. You might have an ad hoc meeting. That means when they had maybe the 3 amigos on it, when the PO called the either the developer or the tech lead and all that, having a look at that story, they forgot to, put the story point on it, or I estimate it. So you're jumping on either the tech lead or the person working on it to say you need to estimate that story you're working on. You see that there, that it picks that also up. Like I said, it's real time. And then up here tells you the remaining story points. So it's looking at this time, this is the remaining story point on the things that are being worked on. So, and it's up here, it's saying that's the main matrix. That tells you the remaining one is what helps to do the projection of how many days is remaining for the work to be completed. That's the one that I said it normally highlights for you. Another thing is, if you don't set it, configure it, it might not show this. But if you configure it, it will always give a projection of when it thinks things will be completed. And then this tells you the total scope increase, the number of stories that were brought in, the number of increase you have during the sprint. Again, that's another indicator for you as a Scrum Master to know that, okay, so things were, stories were brought in and all that. You're able to look at that and say, okay, so if it's increased, by 26, when did this come in and all that? Check your board, and be able to know the things that came in. And another way you can know that on this chart, there were increases. If you look at this place, this is what they started with, roughly, say 400. And then it dropped to something like 320, dropped further to, I can say 270, but then it went up again to 300. So that shows you, okay, this is where one of the increase is. Again, they went down to less than 200 here, further to maybe 150 here, and then another addition. And then they worked on something, it burned down again, then another addition. And then you can see that between this print and this print is flat, nothing was done. Okay, so those are the ways you would know, even you yourself will know through this bar, you're able to see when those increases came in. Yeah, you're able to see it. And if it's on the live dashboard, once you over it, you would know the number of stories between this one and this one that had come in, the number of stories that had been added to it. Now, the yellow line is your total scope line. Okay, this yellow line is your total scope line. So you can see it's looking at the 400 and then it's just going straight. If anything is added to it, it goes up. If anything is added, it's just because they were burning and increasing and all that. That's why you have the line going that way. And then the gray one that keeps coming at the top of the bars, those are that is the burn down line. Yeah, that is the team's burn down line now. So this is the original scope when they started with. So that's why you have your total scope line there. And like I said, that is the burn down line. Okay, going on. And then you have the completed percentage here. So this tells you, okay, the 97% gone. Remember, they started with 400 and they have 164 remaining. So this gives you the percentage of what is remaining. And like I said, the projection also helps. And then at the bottom here, you can see a keynote kind of the color. So it says the blue one is what is remaining. The gray line is the burn down, and then your yellow line is the total scope. So you get that also on your charts. Okay, so before we go to the other ones, any question here before we go further? Does anybody have any question? Especially on the components. All right, Yetunde?
Yes, thank you. At what point can we put the burn down chart? If I decide to put it now, how will it impact my my projects? Will it still be able to read all that is on the burn down charts?
Yeah, and no matter when you generate it, in as much as work starts at the beginning of the sprint, it will show you work starting at the beginning of the sprint, no matter when you put it, no matter when you generate it.
Then at what point will it begin to fluctuate, like going down, like
Once a
burning?
story is closed,
What point?
that's when it burns down. So if your developers have worked on a particular story, the QAs have worked on it, they forgot to close it, or the UAT has not been done, even though the developer and the testers have finished what they need to do, that story won't burn down. So it only burns down when it gets to the last column, when it's closed.
On the UAT, on the
When it's on the closed column, because that's when
okay,
when your story is meeting the definition of done, isn't it?
okay.
Yeah. So until it is done and is in that last column done, it won't burn down.
Yeah, sorry to take you back a little bit.
No
Thinking
problem.
about the definition of done, is it possible because somebody told us today that the definition of ready and done
Mhm.
is going to be a teamwork. But I've seen where you see BAs, they will have their own definition of ready and done. The QAs will have theirs. So how does this?
Okay, so I love that question. So the BAs can have their own definition of ready and done. The QAs or
Okay.
the developers. When I say developers now, I'm putting both the software developer and software testers together, can have their own definition of done. Now, you all now sit as a team and devise one, create one for the whole team, whereby
Okay.
you are looking at the BAs are bringing in their own definition of done, to say our own definition of ready and done is this, because you need the definition of done for the BA. The definition of done for the BA is the definition of ready for the story, for the developers
For
to
the
pick the story,
developers.
isn't it? Yeah, so that's why everybody can have this. But when you now sit down as a team to form the team's definition of ready and done, you're forming for everyone.
Okay.
So you're
Okay.
coming and saying for a work item to be considered done or defined done, it must have, start putting your checklist in place. The first thing is the story must have the requirement, acceptance criteria, wireframe, if you want it to have that, and everything. If you've put all that, you've met the BA's definition of done, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
The first one, and then you go to the next one, and the developers must put their coding. The coding must be in line with the right standard. It must be reviewed by the tech lead. You now have to form the one for the team, following a process. This has to be done first, before this is done, before this is done, before this is done. And what you're doing by setting your definition of ready and definition of done in place is you're putting in place a standard practice for your team so that you don't miss any step in the development process. You don't miss a situation whereby the keywords do just only manual tests, they don't do automation, and that goes live. Because once you have that, your definition of ready and done, what you're saying is this checklist is a checklist, isn't it? Bullet point of everything
Yes.
that needs to be done. So this checklist must be complied with, must be completed before we say a story is done. That is what your definition of ready and definition of done is all about. So I would say, as a team, or go and let others, if they are writing right, let them research more into it, and then you all come together as a team, sit down and form it. So it might be you
Okay.
pick a whiteboard as the BA, sorry, as the Scrum Master, your ADM is there, your PMs are there and everything, and you start.
Okay.
Some would say,
Okay.
oh, once the keywords work is done, then that means and we've met our definition of done. Really, without the UAT, the UAT needs to be done. So if you say the whole thing stops when a keyword passes a story that maybe doesn't have a bug and everything and all that, what if at UAT, the BA, the PO, or anybody doing the UAT realizes that whatever has been done does not align with the acceptance criteria? Because you want to finish all that before it gets to the end user, the client. And what your
Okay.
definition of done also helps to do to make sure that you have standard quality, you're releasing quality out, because everything has been checked. Everything has been, is like saying that you've dotted your I's and you've crossed your T's and all that before you release that feature or functionality to the end user or to your client. Okay.
Thank you very much. You've answered my question.
Well, okay, so all right, so the one with the components, like I said, is just a release bundle. So I wanted to show you what you would have, the types of bundle charts you can have on your dashboard. So this one is an effort bundle chart. Okay, effort is like saying the same thing as your story point, the estimation one. Okay, that's what this has been generated to be. And you can see the start dates over there and the end date there. Now, the difference that you see from this one, we're just going to go back to the other one, is that this was showing you what was remaining. It wasn't showing you what was completed. So every space you have here that is white, yeah, that is what has been completed. And that is what this other one, that was why I had to bring this other one in. So you can configure it because you want to see the completed work. So if you look at the keynotes down here, the remaining is blue, the green is completed. You still have your burn down line, the gray one, which is this one. And you still have your total scope line, which is the yellow one at the top there. Okay, and then for this one, you can see the sprint is it's giving you what kind of chart this is the sprint 15 effort burn down chart. It's giving you the period, it's giving you the completed percentage, 95% complete, and is looking at the end of that sprint is projecting to say that they still need how many more days to complete, 2 more days to complete what was remaining. The two story points remaining, it's telling them it's going to take them 2 more days to complete that. And why it's saying that is because it's looked at the pace at which work was done. Okay, and then the average burn down, you can see there is 1 is on the positive side. Total scope increase was 2, so they increased by 2 story point during the sprint. And you can see item not estimated is 0, so that means they estimated all the stories that gone into that sprint. Yeah, you can see that there. Now, one of the things which you can use your chart to look at is at the start of sprint, you can see 3 days, nothing was burning down. So this shows me that, okay, so nothing was burning down. And then on the 4th day, they burned down something. And then for 4 days, nothing again. And then they increased. So the total scope increase of that 2 that we see came in here. Yeah, and then you can see again nothing, for a long time. So those are the kind of things you want to show the team, that there is a pattern here that we want to look at. Why didn't we do anything? How can we improve so that at the start is when we start, we start. So they did burn down something on the first day, because you can see that their green started from the first day. But then that was all for the next 3 days. So it could obviously it's not because they are cutting their nails or gisting or anything. It could be because of the complexity. It could be because they needed more requirements, they were waiting for more. It could be anything. But that's what we want to sit down during the retro to discuss about. Why did we have this flat for 3 days? And then they'll be able to say, oh, that was when did. So how can we avoid having that going forward? Is it because there was no enough information? We needed more data, we needed more content from the client. So why did we take a story that wasn't ready into the sprint to work on? Those are the kind of things we want to discuss during the retro. And then that chart is just helping us to do that. So the chart won't tell you, oh, this was the reason. But the team would definitely know why that thing up, which you, the Scrum Master, will know also, because during stand-up, updates would have been given for this reason. So most times, that was why I said it's not a judgmental or a blamed, it's not used for that. It's just used to get insights on why that thing happened and puts kind of improvement in place. Okay, so we've used the same work item to create these 2 charts, but we've configured them with different things. So this one was configured with effort. This was configured with the product backlog item, which is your user story. So even though we've used the user story, because on your user story is where you have your efforts, yeah? Well, we've used the 2 things. You can see that it's still telling you 2 different things. It's the same period, if you can see up here, still the same period. So what this is showing you for the effort is saying that we've burned down 95%. But when it comes to the user story itself, it's saying 90%. And then you can see the average burn down is 0.4. Meanwhile, here is 1. So depending on what you want to track, it will give you different information. Like I said, these 2 charts were generated using the product backlog item, but this is tracking the effort, while this is tracking the count of work items. It's counting the user stories as it's burning down. And you can see that the two charts are different. They are not the same because they are tracking different things. While this is saying 2 more days to finish the 2 story points, this is telling you that 6 more days. It's projecting 6 more days to finish. And you can see the total scope increase there being different from what we have here. So like I said, this one is tracking the effort, while this is tracking the count of user story backlog. Your user story is also your product backlog item that is being burned down as we're going as a team. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So this chart is tracking, as you can see there, for the same sprint, but it's tracking the task. So you have the user story, you have the task. So this is tracking the task. And it's saying that looking at that is giving you 82% has been completed. Yeah. Now that is showing a minus over there. So the average burn down is minus 0.1. Like I said, once it's minus, it's not too good. It's when it's on the positive side that shows, okay, there is a kind of pace in what is being done. Okay. And then we can see here that the total scope increase is 25. So that could be what affected their average burn down. And then at the end of the sprint, there's still about 6 tasks to complete for that sprint. And this is the bug. So, earlier on when I was talking, I said if nothing was added at the start, you won't see anything on the chart. So when this team started working, there was no bug raised the first, the second, and the third. So maybe that's the time where the developer was working. But the moment on the 4th day, they finished working on maybe a user story, and that was passed to the testers to work on, and they identified a bug. So you can see that that came in on the 4th day. So there is no way to manipulate the chart to say take this to the 1st day, so that it looks as if the 1st day is when we started finding bugs, which will be funny, isn't it? Because the developer has to work first before the tester tests, and the testers are the ones that find bugs, not the developers. The developers can find bugs also when they do unit tests and they find maybe 1 or 2 things, but most times they don't generate bugs. They just make a correction to whatever they found normally. But the testers are the ones that generate the bugs. Okay, so you can see that by the end of the sprint, this team were able to complete all the bugs that were raised, and you can see 100% completion. You can see the total green over there, and then you can see it's saying that no bug is remaining. There were an increase of 7 during the course of the sprint, but they worked on everything at the end of that sprint. So that's a bug burn down chart, which really it helps the team to know that, okay, so we're getting defects. The keywords are generating bugs. We're working on it and we're completing it within the sprint. So we're expecting that any deliverables that goes out shouldn't have any bugs on it, because we completed everything. We fixed it, they retest it, they passed it, they approved that it's closed, and they closed it at the end of the sprint. So you can get that also. So these are examples of types of burn down charts that you can generate on your board. Now, before we go to velocity, do we have any questions so far on the chart and everything before we go to the velocity chart? No? Good. Right, let's go to the velocity one. Okay, so what is a velocity chart? It's a visual representation. Like we said, it is the all visual representation, graphical representation, visual representation, and what that you want to call it. And it displays a team's planned work and actual completed work over a time frame. And one thing to note is that your velocity only calculates stories that are completed, 100% completed. So if the developer has worked on it, if the QA has worked on it, if UAT has not been done, it doesn't count it as completed. So it has to be 100% completed. That means it has to get to the done column, the last either close or done column, before the velocity picks it as completed or as done. Okay, so what do we use it for? It helps the team to measure, what has been completed against what was planned. What did we plan? What did we complete? Did we complete everything that we planned? Did we do more than we planned? And what your velocity chart is tracking is the pace of a team, is the pace at the workflow and the pace at which a team works over a period of time. And that's the one that helps you to have an average velocity to say, for maybe 4 or 5 sprints that we've been tracking the pace of this team, they can, maybe at the end of maybe 6 sprints or 4 sprints or 3 sprints, this is the number of story points that the team can conveniently complete. Okay. And then it measures how long it will take for a team to complete a project. So if you look at the pace at which they're working, with what the average velocity is telling you, you can categorically know that, okay, at the pace at which we're working, we will complete this project to timeline. And if we feel that at the pace at which we're working, we might not deliver, to timeline, then it's for the team to sit down and to look at what is the what can be done to improve our pace. Why is our pace slow? It could be skill set, it could be more requirements coming in and all that. And then the PM or the ADM are able to go and sit down with the clients or the business to say, more things are coming in than what they've said before. That is going to cause an extension to the project timeline. So they can't, when they start, say that this is what we want, these are the requirements of the things we want, and we want it within 6 months. Is it realistic? Yeah, it's realistic and all that. And then we started working, and then they started bringing new things in and all that, all because Agile says you can respond to change, you can change things and all that. Yes, that's fine. Agile says that we're Agile, we respond to change, we adapt and all that. But the business and the the stakeholders also needs to know that if you keep doing that, and we keep, having that scope creep, which is your scopes just it keeps increasing, it's going to cause an extension. And most times your chat helps you to know that, and then you can go and have that discussion with the stakeholders before it's the end of the 6 months and they are saying, oh, but you said you're going to deliver within 6 months and you're not delivering. That's where the ADM and the PM comes in to go and negotiate that aspect once they know about it. And your tech lead also at times will tell you that the way things are going, the moment your scope is increasing, your tech lead will tell you that if this keeps going on, because they are looking at the technical aspect of things and all that, if this keeps going on, we won't deliver to that timeline that they're looking at or they're talking about, because they keep increasing things, they're making it more complex, they're making it more voluminous than what they said at the beginning. Yes, so we can adapt, we can respond to change and all that, but business just needs to be carried along. That is a collaboration between the development team and the stakeholders coming together to collaborate together. Okay, so it helps us also to measure how long it will take to complete the project. Okay, so benefits of a velocity chart. Again, easy to read. All your charts are easy to read in as much as you know what they're saying and able to read it well, know what it's saying per time. They're very easy to read. They help you to improve your performance. It's measuring your pace and your sustainability as a team. So you're able to improve your performance as you go along on it. It helps the team to forecast the number of stories they can deliver in future sprints because it measures your average velocity. So you can use the average velocity to know that, oh, this is what we can commit to in the sprints that we're going into. It helps the team also to know the efforts they can commit to, in future sprint. It helps the team to negotiate the scope increase, which I've just, explained during the sprint. So we know that our average velocity, then the average story point we can deliver is 90. We have that 90 committed to at the start of sprint. The PO has just come to say, oh, this is critical, is on the life or the production environment. Something has happened. We need to deal with it. It's critical and everything and all that. And it's taking something like 8 story point. So our 90 story point, our average velocity, which is 90, is going to be increased by 80. Now we're negotiating with the PO that we can take this in because it's critical. Definitely, we need to work on it and all that. But can we take out another low priority 8 story point in order for us to accept this in so that we still maintain our 90? We don't go to 98, which will be, overwhelming for us. That negotiation comes in because the chart has given you your average velocity, what you can work on as a team averagely. And there's some things to consider when you're using the velocity chart. Okay, so you can only use information on your velocity chart to forecast when your team composition remains constant. I'll explain what that means. So maybe for the past 4 sprints, you have full capacity, which I explained when we're doing capacity. If you have full capacity, all your team members are there, everybody is in and all that. And the average velocity at the end of maybe 4 sprint is saying 90. Now you're going to the next sprint, which is the 5th sprint. Half of your team members have taken holiday. You're not going to look at the chart and say, oh, but it says 90. So that means we're going to commit to 90 story points. You can't deliver 90 story points with half capacity. You have to reduce it. So even though the chart is, because the chart is not going to tell you your next sprint is going to be 48, you are the one as a Scrum Master, and if your team understands but mainly by you, because you're the one that has calculated your team's capacity. And so the PO might have looked at your chart and saying, oh, but the chart says your average velocity is 90. So why do you want us to reduce it? That's when the explanation comes in from you to say, but the capacity we have is not full capacity. We can deliver or commit to 90 story points at full capacity. But when we're not full capacity, there is no way we can, deliver that 90 story point. So if it's half team, if you're half capacity, you're reducing it to half also, 45 or thereabout. You should be able to work out, your capacity and your velocity to know what you can take in. So it's down to the product owner to prioritize the story points that will total that 45 that needs to go in. Now, you don't say, as Scrum Masters or ADM or PM, you don't go to the PO or the product manager and say, sorry, we can't take 90 in and everything. You explain to them objectively, and then you'll tell them, but peradventure, who knows, we might finish on time. We might be able to take more. What you're trying to do there is to use diplomacy, because they can put their foot down also, even though it's not realistic, they can put their foot down. So what you're doing is you're trying to sweeten them, so to say that if we finish on time, if we finish what the 45 we've committed to, and there's still time to take another thing in, we will try and squeeze it. We're not promising, but we'll try and squeeze it in. You've sweetened them, and then they go like, oh, okay, oh well, let's do that then. And even though that is that 45, that you would definitely complete. So they're going back also to the stakeholders, because that the product owner is the voice of the clients. So they're going back to the stakeholders and telling the stakeholders, oh, well, we don't have a full capacity. People have to take holiday time and everything. People are not feeling well. Is a realistic situation. Yeah. It happens to the stakeholder themselves. They get sick, they take holiday. So they should expect it also, because a team is not a machine. Machine breaks down even. But these are human beings we're talking about. So if you don't have full capacity, it's not the end of the world. So it's just for us to negotiate, collaborate with the stakeholders. Most times the stakeholders want you to just engage them. They want you to carry them along, update them as things are going on. So that at the end of the sprint, before the end of the sprint, they already know what they are getting and what they want to get. Okay. So it helps you so you need to know that for you to rely on what your velocity chart is telling you, it has to have remain constant. That's when you use what is on it. Once there is deviation from that constant composition, then you want to reduce that, but you will be able to explain it to both your team members and also the product owner. Okay. And then another thing that you need to note is that you can only use your product backlog item and your effort for your velocity chart to forecast, you can't use the task one because you have different tasks. So one task might be straightforward and another one might not be. However, having said that, there are some teams that agree that they are going to put their story points on their task and not on their user story. So whichever way, they can still use the effort one because their effort is being tracked on their task anyway. But why is not advisable to story point your task is because the task has different weights, if I can put it that way. So when you have a task that says just put a button there, and you have another one that says put a button there, let that button link to another page and use a hyperlink, that is getting complex now. So tasks are things that you can do within a day or two. Yeah, the user story themselves are the things that you're expected to finish at the end of sprint. So you want to configure your velocity chart for either your product backlog or your efforts. But for your efforts, which is your story, your estimation, your story points. So it's better to forecast with those for the purpose of the velocity chart. We say it gives you an average velocity. So that's what you want to bargain with. And if you want to bargain with that, it's either with your user story, because the user story is what carries the requirements, not your task. Your task just carries the activity you're going to carry out for that requirement that you're going to do. So the user story is the one that is carrying out the requirements from the business or from the client. So that's the one you want to track. That's the one you want to forecast on. And also, your work is considered planned when it is committed to the sprint at the sprint start date. I'll explain what I mean by that. So if you want to see this, okay, so the light blue is planned, and then the green is what is completed. So if you want to see this bar on your chart, you have to make sure that you've committed to all your stories at your sprint start date. If it goes into the second day of your sprint start date, you won't see that blue line because it's planned, and you plan on the first day. So it will show you the green, but it won't show you the planned one. Then what are you measuring against? Yeah. So those are some of the things we need to consider when we're using the velocity charts. Normally at the workforce out there, you will always get the blue one, because you plan maybe in the morning. Your sprint planning is either in the morning or midday, so you always get that. Okay, so this is one that we can use also to talk about the velocity chart. Like I said, you can see planned. The blue bar is the planned one. The dark green aspect is the completed on time. Yeah, and then you have the completed late. The completed late are the works that you complete after the sprint end date. So let's assume the sprint end today, a Wednesday. Let's assume today is a Wednesday or a Thursday. And then there is a story on the board that you completed the next morning, maybe before the sprint planning, you quickly worked on that story and you complete it. It's going to show completed, but it's just going to show completed late because it's past the sprint's last date. So that those are the ones you see that are light colored. And if you look at this, is tracking the last 8 sprint iterations is the same thing as sprint, and then it's tracking the story point. And it's saying for this team, their average velocity per sprint is 39. So what it's telling them is you can only take 39 story points into the next sprint you're going to. That's what this chart is telling them. It's giving them the average velocity that they need to be working on. And as a team, as a Scrum Master also, you need to look at, what is their pace going forward? This kind of team, what is their pace? And then I will explain also to you how you can help the team to kind of increase their pace. So let's look at the first sprint that they worked on. They were able to commit to about less than 50 That was what the plan that they were going to do. And you can see that they did about 40, let's assume that's 47 was what was completed. And because of that, in the next sprint that they're going to, I wouldn't expect them to still go to that either 50 or 49, because here tells you what you've completed. So if they are still at the full capacity, the average velocity during this time would have brought it down. It won't tell them that the average velocity is 40 something, because it's looking at what they've completed. So it will bring it down for them. And they need to kind of use this average velocity as a guideline. So they're looking at it and saying, okay, it's telling us the average velocity, because over here it will tell them, it will be telling them that their velocity is that, let's assume it's 47. It will tell them their velocity is that 47. So you will expect them the next sprint they're going into, they should commit to that 47. But you see, they went a bit high. They didn't go all the way up to this one, but at least they went a bit high, but I would have expected that they would at least stick to what the velocity chart is telling them. Okay, but they did well. Whatever they committed to at that sprint, at least they were able to complete it, even though they completed some late, but at least they were able to complete everything there. And because of that, they're going into this one again. It will give them a velocity again now, and average velocity will give them, and they're supposed to have work with that. That's how they can sustain their velocity and then now try to improve on it. So you don't keep just planning, going high, high, high when your average velocity, most teams don't follow their average velocity. And that is why you're there as an ADM, as a Scrum Master, advising them that we need to work with our average velocity. Because what happens is if we keep planning to take in more and more and more and not following the average velocity, then we're not measuring our pace and we're not trying to sustain based on what we can do and then improve going forward. So let's assume that for this team is telling them that their average velocity is 39 and they've kept to that 39, they've kept to that 39. It gets to a point where they know that, okay, now we know that for at least for the last 2 or 3 sprints, conveniently we can work on 39. Do we want to take it to 40 or maybe 41 and see how we do? So if they take it to 41, they work on it, and then the average velocity comes out of that to be maybe 40, know that they've moved from 39 to 40. At least it might not be to that 41 that they've put themselves on, but they've moved them to 40. So they work on that and then they just increase their pace. And what that is saying is we're sustaining ourselves as we're going forward, because what they know at sprint 102 is much more than what they know at sprint 97. There would have been more experience, there would have been better skill set, there would have been better knowledge of the domain for them to work better. They would have known that, oh, okay, I've done something similar like this before. So even though when I did it, then it took me maybe 2 days or 3 days, I can now do it conveniently within a day. And that would increase, the pace of what needs to be done. And that's how they maintain their pace or increase their pace, because they've sustained what they started with and they are now able to, kind of go on. Let me use an example of somebody that has just passed driving. When they when they go on the road and everything, they don't just start speeding. That's why they're still using their pass badge on the car. And then anybody that is an experienced driver behind them will say, oh, I'm behind somebody that has just passed. I don't want to be behind them, because they are normally slow. They are slow when they're driving because they just passed and everything. But over time, that person gets better. They remove the past thing, and even they now become pro, because they have the confidence now that, oh, I know I know the road. I've gotten the experience and everything, the same way a team's pace work. By the time you gain more experience, gain more domain knowledge, you're able to work faster than when you don't have. When you're able to have the known to the unknown area, you're able to work faster, and that is your pace increasing as you go on as a team. So you don't expect a team to start with a pace this way and still continue after 8 sprints. Then they need to sit down, and discuss, why is our pace not increasing? Do we need more training for our team members to upskill them to have more knowledge, to know how to use the tools better as the organization change the tools that is causing that distraction, because we're still learning the new system or the new upgrade and all that. And because of that, it's slowing our pace of delivering what we need to do. And then they come back and make that decision. And because of that, you look at it and say, okay, so if this project is running for 6 months or 1 year, we're looking at our pace that we can't keep working with average velocity of 39 if we want to deliver what needs to be done. Okay, so that's what your chart helps you know. So I just want to show us some that were done on that were generated on the Azure. Okay, so like I said, this is the plan, and this is the completed. You can see this when this team started, they worked on that average, and this one is tracking the effort. Okay, so they have an effort, the total effort here of they planned 4 and they completed 4. Okay, so but if you look at the next sprint they went into, look at how they shot up. I think this is too much. If you're started with a 4 and the next sprint you're picking a 16, that is overreaching. So if they have started with 4 and they completed 4, maybe the best thing would have been, okay, let's go to maybe a 6 and see how we do with a 6. If they have put in a 6 and they've been able to complete that, keep on going like that so that they maintain their pace and they're able to sustain it. And you can see the overreaching to 16 story points, they were only able to complete 7. And even the 7 they completed late. So all these were completed after the sprint end date. Okay, so they brought it down, but I would have expected that they will bring it down more, looking at where they stop. And the average velocity would have told them. So they were not following the guidelines of the average velocity. They were just working maybe based on this is what the product owner wants us to work on, and the team will do that. Your developers and your testers will follow what the product owner is saying, because the product owner might be maybe a senior person in the organization, but that's when your own negotiation skills come in to let the product owner know that we're overcommitting to what our average velocity say, and we might not be able to deliver to you at the end of the day. You can see at the end of the sprint, this was what they delivered at the end of the sprint, and all these were completed late. So they were again over here, the next sprint, they committed to this and they were able to complete all those that they committed to. So the average velocity should be a guide to what the team should work on. But like I said, the reason for all this also, there might be reason for all this. So we're not just saying that, oh, they shouldn't have maybe do it this way and everything. There might be that they were not at full capacity. That was why we had this. But at this point, before they planned the 16 story point, the Scrum Master would have known that we don't have a full capacity, and this shouldn't have gotten, up to that level, whereby work can now be completed late. So as a Scrum Master, as an ADM, as a PM, there's a lot of work in our hands. So the ADM and the PM also can help the Scrum Master. You also can go on the board. You have an understanding of what the velocity chart is saying, and you can also use that to tell the Scrum Master. Maybe you notice you've had a discussion with the Scrum Master maybe before even the start of sprint to say, oh, and what you're doing is you're not. I don't want you to feel that, oh, I'm the ADM. So you're working with the team. You're not working in the team, but you can collaborate with the Scrum Master, looking at chat together to say, oh, this is what the average velocity is saying. Please ensure that maybe when you're at the sprint planning, we don't take in more than we should. Or even if you are there in the sprint planning and everything, not overtaking the facilitation from the Scrum Master and saying that you're not keeping to what the average velocity said. You're not even telling the team to use the average velocity now. You have to work as a team. Scrum Masters and ADM, you have to work as a team to help, support the team going forward. Okay. So that is the one for an effort velocity chart. And this is the one for a PBI velocity chart. So they are tracking two different things. And it's for the same team, but they just tracking, like I said. So if you look at this, it's saying the average velocity. It's telling them the count of work items, the count of stories they can take in is 3. So this team needs to sit down. You can see that it's the same team. So they need to sit down. And how can a team take in 3, users? But that's what the chat is saying, because it's looked at the way they've worked going forward, and it's saying you can only take in 3 story points. Okay, and look at it over here. That was what was planned. 9 story were planned, and 4 was completed. And then 5 was planned here, and 2 was completed. 7 was planned here, 4 was completed. 4 was planned here, and then 3 were completed late. All the ones that were completed late. And then we went to 5. So you can see it's erratic. It's not following the guideline, and is not following a pace, and it's not even sustainable. It's just going erratic, up there, down there, up there, down there, and everything. And that's why the average velocity is looking at it and is saying you can only do 3 going forward. Okay. So all these charts helps us to kind of work in a better way, and progress in a good way in order to deliver products. So we want to look at the location of your chart and the source on Azure DevOps, which is the project where our project board is located. Okay, so the location is on your dashboard. For the dashboard, you have multiple charts. You can put multiple charts on your dashboard. Through your backlog, you need to go to, there's analytics at the top of your backlog, and you can also locate your charts there. And the charts you can locate through your backlog is your velocity charts. On your sprint backlog, analytics also, and the charts you can locate through there is your sprint burn down chart. We'll get to the workshop part of things. We'll be able to see that. And the source of your chart is through widgets that you can add to your dashboard, or you can install from the marketplace extension. When we're doing the Azure DevOps setup, I did show us all that from your project board supplier. Okay, they have their marketplace extension, and you can get your chart from there if it is not already by default on the project board that you've picked to use. Okay, any question before we do the workshop aspect? Any question from anyone? I love it. I was going to say I love it when there's no question. All right, go ahead, ask your question.
I want to ask a question. The velocity charts, it only track the average velocity. It only track the ones that are completed on time. See? The ones that are not completed on time doesn't.
Both completed on time and completed late. It tracks the completed late also. If it doesn't track it, you won't see it. It won't show you the light one. But what that means is for that team is you're completing work, but you're completing it late. And it would use that when it's calculating your average velocity. So let's use the example of this team now. It's not as if they're not completing work. It's just that why he's giving them a low number here, because you will look at it and say, oh, but they completed on time, they completed on time. What he's telling them is you're overreaching. You're planning more than you can complete. So it's that you're overcommitting to work. That's what he's telling them. And that's why he's bringing it down for them. So say normally your average velocity should be 3. Not the 9 or 7 or thereabouts that you're putting there. But like I said earlier on when I was explaining, your velocity chart won't know that maybe you don't have a full team, yeah, when
Yeah.
you're working, which will be one of the reasons. I'm not saying that is the reason, but might be one of the reasons while you have the late completion. But you, the Scrum Master that knows that, would ensure that we don't plan this much if we don't have a full capacity.
Okay. And I get now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask my own question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. What kind of visuals can you use to track teams in teams? Like if I have to track the BA's performance, do they have this kind of charts?
Okay,
Or
so
it has to be a team chart?
no. You will be able to track them on work item charts. You know, while I was showing us the kind of charts we have,
Okay.
you have the work item chart. But when okay, how will I put this now? As a Scrum Master, yeah, you want
Yes.
to track the team, not individual role. It's not as if it's not there. You can use it to coach them.
Mm.
The work item charts, you can use that.
Okay.
You can use it to coach them. Remember what we said, that metrics is not to judge or to blame. You can use it to coach them to say, I noticed that maybe our stories don't get ready on time. Is there a reason why that is? What can we put in place to do that? You know, from what I'm saying now, I'm not saying you people don't, you use we a lot. That means you're telling them that I'm part of you. This is a team. Yeah. And then you're not saying what's like, oh, why didn't you? You're using how can we improve? How can we get the story on time? What is delaying us, getting our story ready on time? And then they are able to share that if they have anything they're facing, any challenges they're facing, they're able to share that with you. Oh, we're not getting content on time from the business or from the client, from the stakeholders. We needed this. We needed them to give us content. We needed them to send pictures to us. We needed they wanted this number of pictures on the gallery, their photo gallery, and all that. The PO has been on their case, and they're not sending those pictures to us on time, and that's why we're not, we don't have the stories ready on time, because then, and there are times when stories are dependent. Okay, let's use commercial website, for example. We
Okay.
have Next, who is your client. You are the ones building the website for them. They want us to build a platform to let's assume one of next brand is, I'm just using this as an example, is Zara. Let's assume that Zara is a designer that is selling on Next website. And Next says, on Zara's page and everything, we want create a page for Zara on our website. We've created the page, but there's no content. They are not giving us images, clothes, bags, shoes, accessories from Zara for us to put there. Now, there is no way the developer can work on that. He's created the page, but there's no content to put there. And if we don't put the content there, then we're not able to generate the baskets. We're not able to generate the checkout. We're not able to generate the payment. All those are dependent on us having a content, because that is what you link all those checkouts, payments, and all that to, isn't it? In order to have a kind of a user flow, a user process flow, user story mapping or something they call it. So that could be the problem. It might be because they're not getting content on time. So once they come to you, the Scrum Master, you find that you're able to get that information from them. That's a blocker, isn't it? That's an impediment for the BAs. Now you need to do your work in resolving that blocker. You escalate to the ADM. ADM, this is what my BAs are not getting and all that. The ADM is able to have that meeting with the stakeholders to say, if we don't get this, there is no way we're blocked. We can't do anything. Either they have it with the PO, and also they can talk with the PO. If they have, there's a meeting, they have stakeholders meeting, maybe they have it fortnightly and all that, they are able to make that discussion on that platform. I'll give you an example. At work, we're trying to link with a particular bank. And for our developers to do what needed to be done, we're trying to have a workflow where we're trying to remove the middleman from paying staff. So they want staff to be able to go directly when it comes to their pension, go directly to the bank to get their payment. Okay, so what happens is somebody has reached the pension age, they've clicked on, I don't want to work further, I want to get my payment. The organization wants to put an automated process in place whereby once they say that, they send that to, they click on that, yes, I want my payment to go through. We want to put an automated process in place where HSBC will get an alert to say this person wants their payment. And then they know, okay, this is the amount. Does that organization have that money in the account to pay them? And all that. Now, for that to work, there's a big security issue in place, isn't it? Because we're talking about money. We're talking about people's bank details and all that. We're talking about big security issue. And the developers are developing, they've developed on our side. We need to link it with HSBC because HSBC is an organization, a financial organization that is being governed by the financial services thing. They have to fulfill the is it called FIA? I can't remember what the financial thing is called, but they have to fulfill all the protocols before they can give us access to their own developers platform. So our developers want to talk to their developers, but they have to fulfill the financial regulation, fulfill all protocols before they can give that, because there is, like I said, people's personal details at stake, money. We're talking about money. It's not easy and all that. And as a result, the payments development that my team is working on is blocked until the financial regulation satisfies themselves. Everything we've sent to them that this is what they are doing, they satisfy themselves. That can't go ahead. Now, that is an impediment that is out of our hands as a team, out of our organization's hand, because we're dealing with another organization. And until that is resolved, the regulation is resolved on their side, they've satisfied themselves, they've satisfied the financial regulation, they can't go ahead with things. So that's a blocker. And that will show on your chart. And that's where maybe the business, your company, the PO, the ADM, you will be in that meeting to say, then what do we do? On our roadmap, should we put a stop to this? We're talking to the financial department to say, or the cash management department to say, should we put a stop to this now? Because until they sort that aspect out, we can't go ahead. Is there any other part of this payment that doesn't have anything to do with maybe HSBC that we can still go ahead? Is there any part where it's our own organization that is doing the payment that we still want to go ahead? And then when HSBC or any bank that it is sort themselves out, fulfill all the financial regulations, we will be able to go along. So you can do that. So you would, but because you know that issue, you've had that one-on-one with your BA, yeah, you will be able to discuss that. So you can create a work item chart when you're monitoring it. Once you monitor it and you see that they're not writing enough stories, you're not going to them and say, you're not writing enough story. Why are you not writing enough story? We don't have enough work to work on and everything. You can you've noticed it because you're tracking it. And then you can just come that, oh, I noticed we don't have enough stories in maybe the approved column. Is there any issue? Oh, this is what the PO wants us to work on because that is the feature that is on the roadmap. However, this is the issue we're facing. and then you're trying to resolve that impediment. So you're working with them as a team. Always know the root cause, yeah, of anything before you put a coaching in place, because it might be something that is not needed, and you don't want to kind of create a tension between in your team whereby they don't want to work along you alongside you as a scrum master or as an ADM or as a PM. So your ADM might say, oh, scrum master, can you please generate this chart because there's something we need to track. But whatsoever you are tracking, just ensure that you have a full understanding of what that chart is telling you before you use it to help the team to improve. I'll put it that way. But definitely you can track the number of stories. If you want to know the number of stories that your BAs are writing and everything, you can use the work item charts to do that. And most times what you do is you raise a query first, and then you put your query on your dashboard. You can transfer your query to your dashboard. But I think that one you have to raise the query to do it. Which, if we can't do it tonight, maybe I don't know. I'll try and see if there are another time where I can show you how to do that. But I know you're generating queries already, but it's for your queries you're generating right now is for the estimation. But that's not the only thing you can generate a query for. You can also generate a query, like I said, to track, if you want to track the work item chart. And it's not just your BAs alone that you can do that for. You can do it for the developers. You can do it for the what is it called, the QAs also. You can do that, but yeah, let's see how it is. I might talk to long on me and just maybe find a time. But why I like I said, why I wouldn't want to is because I don't want you kind of to use that as if you're monitoring them, in a good way. Don't let me say the other word. So you don't want to do that. On your board also, you can use the query without even generating a chart. And then just use that to kind of have a discussion, because the query will tell you what you need to see also on the board. What is on the board, it will tell you. I don't know if that answers your question. But like I said, for the purpose of this training, it's more of burn down chart and velocity chart, because that's the one that talks mainly about team. And as a scrum master, you focus on the team. Yes, you can have a one-on-one with team members, but you want to drive the team because it's all about team's productivity rather than individual productivity. Yeah. Okay, quickly, I'm going to stop sharing, and then let's get one person with a show of hands. Anybody that wants to share the screen, go on their project board so that we can generate different. Okay, so are you the same team? Let me start with that first. Buki and Beru, are you from the same team?
I'm
I-
SM. I
no,
don't know that we're from the same team. I know
no,
I'm
we are
not.
not from the same team.
Okay, you're from different teams. Okay,
Yes.
so what we can do is let Buki share your screen. We'll use you to do burn down charts, and then we can use Gbenro to do velocity charts so that at least we balance things between the two teams. Yeah, if that's okay. Gbenro, should we do ladies first?
Yeah. Yes.
Or is it ladies first after men?
Ladies first.
Okay. All right, Buki.
Sorry, my Zoom froze. I pushed it too hard. But can you see my screen now?
It's coming up.
Okay, still coming up. That's okay. Is it up now?
No, we can't. Okay, yeah, we have it now. Okay, cool. Okay, so for you to get to your, okay, before you go on your dashboard, yeah, I was just going to quickly show us those locations that we talked about, that when you're in
Okay.
your backlog, what you can see. So if you click on the green one, the birds,
The green one.
yeah, you know where you have birds, the left panel, the one that says
Okay.
birds.
Okay.
Yeah.
This thing should not freeze or break. Alright. That's what it was doing. Sorry. Okay. Why is it so slow? I've been using it. Sorry, everyone. This is actually okay. Oh, it's still loading. Sorry. Sorry, my system. I think I'm pushing it too hard. Oh, it's been working fine. I am sorry.
Okay, we'll send you to Nigeria.
I don't know. It has been working all day. As we are talking, I was going through it now. I don't know what happened. Unable to connect network. What happened to my network?
Refresh at the top.
Oh, God.
Okay, saying network connection. Check network connection.
Let me check on internet. Sorry.
Okay, not to waste time. Do you want somebody else to share for
Yeah,
your team? Do you have
let me just stop sharing. Is this one there?
anybody else from your team here?
Maybe we can go ahead with in binary first then. Or is anybody else there? Yetunde Pink, Toyosi and Bigbe. Has it stopped sharing? Let me first of all allow the
It's
other
still
people.
sharing.
Oh God. I might have to log out and restart my system and join back. Oh gosh.
But you're the one recording.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for reminding me.
Okay, Gbero, do you want to share your screen? Let's see if you can override her sharing. I'm not
Okay.
sure you can, but let's try and see.
I can't share now while the other
You
person
can,
is
because she's sharing. Okay.
I don't want to mistakenly close Zoom.
Okay, is it telling you that this will stop others screen sharing? Do you want to continue?
No,
Did you see that,
it
Gbero?
didn't tell me. Maybe you should try. I think it will
It
stop.
says it didn't say the- you can start screen sharing while the other participant is sharing. That's what it says.
He said you can't share.
Yes, while the other is sharing.
All right, let me try and
Or is it because you're recording?
I've gone to
no,
my project board
don't
too.
worry.
It seems as
I've
if
override
I don't know
hers.
what I
Then
say.
let me stop sharing. Okay, Bouquet is still there because I can override her, but I don't think Benro can override her.
Oh gosh.
Okay, I think we have. Okay, Binro, you can share now.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
Can you see my screen now?
No, you're not sharing at all.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen, but we're seeing your setting.
Okay, I'll just leave them up.
It could be because you're not sharing the whole screen.
It's the whole screen.
Yes, we can see your screen. So for the velocity one, this is just because you don't have your as you can see that is because you don't have your board the chart up yet. So this is where you will normally pick your velocity chart on your board. Okay. If you go to your sprints, that one will show you. Yeah, if you go there your sprints. That's if you don't want to go on the dashboard straight. Those are the some of other places where you can pick it up from. You have analytics at the top of that one also.
Yeah.
If you click on that, then this will show you your bond down trend, as you can see. Yeah. So something has been generated on your dashboard. That's why on your dashboard, that's why you have this, or it might not even be. Okay. Wow. Your capacity is 250. How did you get a capacity of 250?
No, it just came up like that.
Okay, just close that band down trend at the top. Close that. You don't have your capacity here. I can't even check that for you. Okay, that's fine. Let's go to your dashboard. So overview, where you have overview, and then go to dashboard. So to get to your dashboard, you have to go to overview first and click on dashboard. Okay. Okay, so you can see your velocity is there already. And you can see that your average velocity is 0. Who can tell me why the average velocity is 0? Ogbero, do you know why your
Because no
average
tax has been
The sprint is
completed.
not yet
velocity is
completed.
down? Because nothing has been completed yet. Also planning. So the planned one is, you can see it's shorter than the bar for the incomplete, which is fine. Maybe because the stories were not ready during the planning, and then the team agreed that, oh, once the story is ready, we'll add them to the sprint. So that could be the reason why you're having that. Okay, so there's always a reason why you have what you have, but your chart will only pick real times. Can't be manipulated, like I've said earlier. Okay, so if you scroll down, I think there's a burn down chart already created at the bottom. Yeah, you can see that is your that has been generated. I think you have two separate ones, isn't it?
Yes,
But what
please,
we
can
want to
you
do
tell us
is,
the difference, please?
yes, so one is the first one one. So you're not even tracking your product backlog item. You're tracking the whole backlog. Okay, so we can do that.
Okay, so can
We
we
can
change
change
it?
it, yes. So if you go to the top right hand corner, just over it, you see the 3 ellipses. No, of that chart. No, of that chart.
Yes.
Yes. So I think that one is okay. Okay, click on configure. That's fine. We'll just configure some things. The title, first thing you want to do is your title. So what are we tracking? You're tracking your sprint 1 effort burn down. That's what you're tracking. Okay, so let your chart always say what you're tracking. So let it go in front, let your cursor go in front of your burn down, because it's still a burn down, but we just the front, the back. Should I say the back then? At the beginning or here. So put sprint 1 effort burn down there. Make your E capital.
Okay.
Okay, and then you've picked your team. No. Okay, so you can see that you've picked the backlog. So you're actually tracking the backlog, not the work item type. So go to the one that has work item type at the bottom. You know, there are 2 groups. You have no, on the configure thing that you've opened. So where you have work item type, activate it. No, at the top. Go back to the top. After the team, that's okay. Where you are, where your cursor is, just come down. Instead of the backlog, go to the one that says work item type. No, not there.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I want you to activate that, because that's where we're going to. Yeah, open it now. And go and pick product backlog item. Scroll down. Okay. So it's the effort that is on that we want. And then we now want to add the criteria to it. We want to tell it to pick the sprint 1 or the backlog. So where you have add criteria, value down at your date.
Yes.
That's for
Okay.
see your product backlog item. Yeah, the
Backlog
stories
item.
themselves. So if you do the same thing, go to where you pick the ellipses for the configure. Yes.
Yes.
So for this one, let's make the title sprint 1 PBI burn down. Just PBI in front of the burn down. So we're not tracking
Okay.
efforts now, we're tracking the PBIs themselves. Okay, so let's do it the second thing we did. Go to the work item type. No, leave all that. Work item type. Pick your PBI again, your product backlog item again. Okay, so now you want to track count of work items, which is fine. What is there? No, that's fine. That's what we want to track. But we've not added the criteria. So we need to go and tell it that we want it to track sprint 1.
Am I in the right area?
Yeah, you're there. Just look for iteration path.
One.
It's below all those level 1, level 2. Just scroll down, you'll get to it. Yeah, iteration path. Then pick your sprint 1.
And save, yeah?
Is the date correct also? Yeah,
4/6, yeah?
okay, good. So you can see that has changed from 37 to 13. So what you were
Oh,
tracking before was you were tracking your whole backlog rather
okay.
than just the sprint, what is in the sprint.
Okay.
Okay, so that has been done properly. There's another chart. Okay, you did your cumulative diagram, flow diagram also, which is
Yes.
good.
Please, the other one at the top, sorry, the work item.
Mhm.
That one do we need it?
Which one?
It is above the burn down. Yes. This one.
No, new
No.
work
Okay, we can
item.
take that off, please.
Again, no, not that one, not that one. You need your velocity. The one below the velocity, not that one. There is one in
That is
between
one.
the velocity and this one. That's the one, yeah.
The
That's
new work item.
Okay.
just click on it and delete.
Thank you. And there's one at the top also, the one for the names.
Yeah, you can leave that one then. It's not doing
Okay, what
anything.
about how to edit that one that says no goal sets? Go to
Because
Azure
you've not
goals,
said you've
select
not
the
put
sprint.
your sprint goal on your sprint. That's why it's not showing it.
Then how do I edit
Okay,
that,
so if you
please?
go on your sprint
This.
panel, left panel, click on the boards, go to sprint. You are not in the sprint yet. Sprint.
Go to sprint.
So look for your sprint 1. There's a place where it says my team sprint 1.
Yeah.
Below.
Or you can click on that also because that's your sprint 1 also. Let's go to the task board. Go to where you have the task board. You can see goal at the top. No, at the top of the page that is open, there is goal
Okay.
at the header. Yeah, click on that. So no goal has been put here. That's why nothing is showing on your dashboard. So what's the goal for your sprint 1? What did the PO wanted you to do for sprint 1?
SharePoint activity.
SharePoint activity, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so
SharePoint page and activity.
so put there, create SharePoint
SharePoint
page.
page, yes, and
Create SharePoint
activity.
page.
Create, yeah.
Just
SharePoint page and
SharePoint page.
activity.
Okay.
Yeah, so your goal, yeah, is a statement. Yeah, you can put SharePoint, put it that way, yeah, that's fine. An activity. SharePoint page, I think she says.
Yes. Or SharePoint portal and activity, whatever. Portal and activity.
Okay, there's a toggle at the bottom that you need to turn on, yeah?
This.
Yes, please. No, not that one. You've not achieved the goal yet, so it's the first one. Okay, don't turn the second one on. Just the first one alone. The first
Just
toggle.
this one.
That one, yes. Turn it on. Okay, you need to save. The save is at the top. If you scroll up, you scroll up, yeah. Can you see it? Yes.
Yes.
So save it. Go back to your task board. I want to show you something before you leave the page. No, still on your sprint. Can you see your goal now at the top of your page of your sprint? Can you see the goal? Yeah.
Good, yes.
So if we go on your dashboard now, it will show on that goal widget that you have on your dashboard now, because you've written it here.
Okay.
So go back to the overview. Dashboard.
Then what about this one at the side? Sorry, this. Oh yes, it's showing now. Okay.
So the build history is for developers, so you don't really need it. If
Because-
the developers have a line, a tech lead that wants to track that, they will come and create the build lead, the build history. So you've not even started, you just started sprint 1, so there is no history to track for now.
Okay.
So you can delete the widget.
Okay. The
Not that
build
one, not that
history.
one.
Build
No,
history.
build history one on your right. Scroll up. Yeah, that one. You can delete it. Thing you can do is you can tidy up your board. You know, instead of everything being down one side, they can actually be beside one another. And to do that, all you need to do is click on edit at the top right hand corner at the top.
Right hand corner.
You can edit. No, not there. The top of the page itself. Just keep going. You'll find it. No, you've gone too far. You're there at the bottom. Okay, go to the top. Gbenro. Where you have modified just now by Gbenro, there's a edit beside it. Have you seen there's a edit beside it on your right?
Yeah. There was something blocking it before.
Okay, okay. So what you want to do, where you have project settings on the left panel, project settings on your left panel, come to close it, so it gives you enough space. So all those tiles, you can use them to arrange. So if you scroll up, you see the theme binary, put it beside your go. Move it. Okay, cool. So yeah, your velocity can stay there. Yeah, this is much better. So the more you are creating, rather than just allowing it to go down, you can do this to rearrange just tidy up your board to make it look nicer. Yeah. And once you're done doing that, just do done editing.
It's here now.
See, it's looking much better. So if you create other things and all that, you can just put them on the side of where you have all those, instead of having those white elephants.
All right.
Just tidy things up. Yeah. Okay, so that's how you generate your sprints burn down chart, and then the velocity is real time. Once whatever is going on the board, the velocity would, once you've set it up, the velocity would sort itself. Okay, so we can also generate it because your team has done yours before. So I'm not sure if Bookie or anybody in Bookie's team is ready so that they can have that walkthrough also, just to see how it is done. Because I was going to get Gbenro to create another one so you can see how it is created, but I would love your team to do it themselves so that at least one person in your team is able to do it.
We've already created it. I've already created
that's good.
dashboard actually. But it's just that
That's good
some of the settings are not, unfortunately, I don't know why my Azure page is just Okay, I think it's coming up. It's just so slow. I don't know. Maybe because it's edge or so. I'm
Okay,
still
but you saw the way Gbero did his.
half of the
Or
time.
his
I'm
turn.
trying to see it, but I would like to walk through it. Please. My system is slow. Obimpe, can you share?
And any member of your team shares, just
Yes, I can share. Can I share from my personal account? The admin account signed out. I don't know why.
Should work.
you can only use the admin account.
My page is coming up, but it's so slow. It's not good that people should wait for it.
Are you the only two Scrum Masters in your team?
And I've been
I don't know if Toyosi is online.
Yesterday's.
Is yesterday in Buki's team? I think yesterday is in the other team.
I mean, in binary, the one that just
Buki,
finished.
if you want to watch the video, yeah, and then do the same thing. If you have any queries, give me a shout.
okay. Okay.
Is that okay?
That's
Yeah,
all
so
right.
that, yeah, okay. All
Yeah.
right, Mary, you can stop sharing. I don't know if anybody still has any question.
All right.
I have a question, please. It has nothing
Okay,
to
go
do with
ahead.
metrics anyway. It's a
Sorry?
question. They said the QAs are asking on me to configure the Azure board properly so that when a bug is in committed, it should automatically move to the committed column. I don't know what that means.
Okay, say that again. They want you to configure the board so that
Azure board needs to be configured properly so that when a bug is committed, it should automatically move to the committed column.
yeah, that's what should happen.
I
That's
don't know
the way
what
we
they are
did it.
saying.
That's the way we've done the board so that when there is a bug,
It's
Vero, do
sometimes-
you want to share your screen again?
I'm doing that right now.
Okay. Oh, sorry, you're in different teams.
I think it should.
Moji, please, can I quickly ask this
Since,
question?
if the question is in relation to, if any of the question is in relation to metrics, please do ask. If we finish the metrics so that we can stop the recording for metrics and we don't join other things to it.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is Binkwe, is your question in relation to metrics?
No, it's about the admin Azure board on my part. I
Okay,
don't know
so
what
let's
happened.
stop
Just
the
signed that
recording
one.
for metrics. Do we still have any other question for metrics before we stop the recording? Temi?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I just want to confirm if, as a PM, I'm charged with the responsibility of knowing who the work item has been assigned to, how long it takes for the task to be completed, and how has it been done? Is that what we just practicalized today as it going through the velocity charts?
Okay, so for ADMs and PMs, I think the one that matters most to you, it's not as if the burn down doesn't matter most to you, but I think the one that matters most to you is an overview, high level, on the high level, and that's velocity. You want to know this is what we plan because you are more interested in have we delivered what we planned? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the velocity that matters most to you. The person that goes to the nitty-gritty of the burn down is the Scrum Master because, like I said, the Scrum Master, the burn down looks at the sprint exactly. And the Scrum Master is using that to monitor to say, are they working? Not that they're working, really, but are we moving, on time? Are we doing what we need to do on time? Are there new things being added to the board that I need to be aware of? Know why it's being added, negotiate, removing one thing or the other. That's all the Scrum Master. But for you, ADM and PM, the one you can track is the velocity one. what did we plan to do? Did we complete what we planned to do? And
Okay.
also, the velocity is important to you because, like we said, the average velocity. So if a team's average velocity is really, let's say, 50, and they are at full capacity, and they planned the 50, but they
on my
finish
phone.
48,
Are
you
still-
want to know what happened? Why didn't we do what we worked on? So that is you talking to the Scrum Master, not the team.
Okay.
So you working with the team as a PM or an ADM, your first point of contact to the team is the Scrum Master. And then the Scrum Master knowing, that's why the Scrum Masters, you need to know what is going on, is able to give an update to the ADM. So if the update has to do with, there was an impediment, something that is out of the developers and maybe is out of the team to deal with or resolve, you're escalating to the PM or the ADM, and then they are helping you to resolve. It might be something that has to do with meeting with business, meeting with the IT department, meeting with another team, infrastructure or thereabout, to be able to resolve. So you're leaving that with them to go and deal with that external team while you're concentrating on the what the team is doing. But if it's an impediment that can be resolved within the team,
God.
maybe, I'm not able to do this because of my skill set, and there's somebody else that can help that person to, maybe you need to do peer programming, watch this person, or this person can be skill. Buki.
Oh, sorry. I am.
So they're able to do that. So it's more, yours is more of the velocity because it gives you a high level overview of what was planned and what was delivered at the end of the sprint.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other person on the metrics? No? All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time tonight. Less question means we understand better, but I also know that you can also go back and watch the recording so that you have a better understanding. And even after watching the recording, if you still have any questions, please reach out to your buddies or your mentors. They are able to put you through. Also, and you can also drop a question on your guild. I'm part of the guild. I'm on almost all the guilds. So if nobody picks your question up to answer, I can answer. But normally on the guilds, I just allow the mentors and the buddies to run it. I stay quiet there. Your question, because then other people forfeit having a shared understanding or learning from whatever your question is. So just drop it on your guild, and I'm sure any of your mentors are able to pick it up, and answer the questions. Or any of your colleagues also who has understanding of that can help out by answering the question also. Okay. All right. In the absence of any question, Buki, can we stop recording so that I can take Pinkwe's question and then we can look at what you're saying?